Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Good Morning Xbox. I am your host, Axel1324.
And I'm Cool Cat Terry.
And I'm Dreadpool.
All right, and what an awesome weekend it's been so far, guys. If you guys didn't know, Death Dealer, my fellow panel member on the Iconic Video Games podcast, is starting her hosting her own podcast, which is called I just had the name. What's it called, Dreadpool?
Majestic Mayhem.
Majestic Mayhem. That's right. And it was quite the entertaining podcast yesterday, full of hilarity. Very, very well done. Shout out to Death Dealer. I knew you could do it. I knew you could host. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. Another week has gone by, Terry. What have you been playing?
I've actually been on vacation, so I've actually been able to play. I've been playing Titan Quest quite heavily, and I'm almost. I think I'm almost halfway through Act 2, and I've been enjoying it quite a lot. So it's I would say for a game that's like 20 some years old, just about. No, not even that. Came out what 2006, so not quite 20 yet. But like for an old game, it's better than Diablo 4 because that game bored me to tears.
Oh no!
But yeah, no, it's really really good. I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping some of you maybe picked it up, last week when I brought it up. So it's a good play. And it does have a split screen option. It does.
And it runs on everything.
And you can do all kinds of creative stuff with your builds, and it's not like you have to be like meta building. You can just have fun and play with it. It's great stuff.
Oh man, meta building. I love meta building for fun, but I like experimenting even more. So yeah. That I would say that is Diablo 4's weakest point right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Dreadpool, another week. What have you been playing?
Well, the one thing that everybody's been pretty much playing this past weekend, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game. So yeah, I'm gonna name drop here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We ended up playing yesterday, obviously before the stream, but I was streaming with Paris Lockhart from Xbox, with Carlo from 4GQTV, and that other guy. What was his name? Pineapple Paul. That's the guy. Yeah, Cerebral Paul. I've been the four of us got together and had a good time playing, trying to figure out the game. And it's your classic, villains versus victims, and victims getting out. We all won several games. We all got out except for Paul. Paul was always the first one to die. He's like, man, none of us knew the maps, and that was the worst part. Carlo was the only one that knew a little bit because he had more game time on it. But the rest of us first dip was this, and even one of the first things, one of the villains found Carlo, and Carlo runs right past Paul, and Paul's like, what's going on? And next thing you know, he's dead. He's like, why did you run right to me? So, I mean, we had some good laughs. And then I ended up leaving, and then because it's 4-on-3 or 4v3, whatever. So the three of them started playing as the villains. So a really cool game. I like it better than some of the earlier, villains versus victims games. It's well developed, and just had a good time playing that. Other than that, I've been doing, trying to do content.
Yes.
And setting up, trying to make sure that the wife has a good stream for her first show. Getting all that fun stuff out there. But yeah, it's been a good week.
It has been a good week
until we got the news, but we'll get over that at that time.
Yes. So I have been playing more Diablo with my friend, trying to get him through the campaign, and it's so weird because I go and help him and he's so far back, so underleveled, that everything that item drops like reduces my damage by like 500. So I don't even want it. So unless I'm getting an aspect off of a legendary or something, I don't really care what I'm picking up at this point. So I'm helping him get through the campaign, which is fun. I love playing with my friends. But by myself, I have been playing Bramble. man, what an experience. Terry, you did not tell me it was this effed up. I haven't even been playing for that long. Like I look at because I'm playing it only on xCloud, using xCloud, because it's a game that can be played on xCloud. It's not like a shooter where I need immediate Twitch action. And what a gorgeously disgusting game. Like, it has some pretty daylight vistas and some dark and gruesome
I told you,
nighttime
it
stuff.
goes back and forth.
And it's like you survived the night. You see the light. Ah, it's so pretty and calm, and everybody's happy. But then here comes the darkness, or here comes a shadow again. It's so cool. Like, I'm enjoying that indie more than I should probably. I don't know if I should or shouldn't, but I'm being taken by the presentation on that game. And the puzzles are smart. The puzzles are interesting. And so yeah, the puzzle platformer. I think they definitely captured a really good puzzle platformer. If you haven't played Bramble, guys, it's on Game Pass. It's on xCloud. Check it out. It's something.
I'm happy you kept going, because last week you're like, I don't know. All I'm doing is following my sister around in the woods. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like, just keep going. So I'm happy you kept going.
I did. So the first part of the game is just a bunch of dumb, cute puzzles. And I don't really care for it. And then it gets dark. You get to the well. And it gets dark, and that's where it goes. Like it gives me that Little Nightmares vibe,
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely a fantastic game. People should check it out. Have I been playing other games than that? No, not really. It's been Diablo and Bramble for the whole week. So yeah. All right, but let's check in with the iconic chat. As always, my buddy Doggy Dog 420 joins us. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Doggy Dog. Thank you so much. And for those of you who don't know, it is a week away from Doggy's birthday. So yeah, be sure to hit that wish list he has on Xbox and hook him up. Let's see. We got You're Wicked Hot. Thank you so much for joining us. You're Wicked Hot. You're the real MVP. He says, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? You're Wicked Hot. Thank you so much for joining us. Fastback says it's time. Almost time. This is posted at 7:53. Shout out to Fastback. Thank you so much for joining us. Lost Boomer comes in. Thank you so much for joining us, Lost Boomer. And thank you for retweeting the show. Appreciate it so much. You are the real MVP. Let's see. By the way, if I forget to say you're the real MVP to anybody, just know you're all the real MVP. Happy Cloud Gamer comes in. He says, hi, guys. Hey, Happy Cloud Gamer. Check out Bramble on Cloud. Trust me. Trust me and Terry. Wait, here we go. Trust me and Terry. It's good. Let's see. Crazy Greek Dude joins us. Hey, yo, what's going on, Crazy Greek Dude? Thank you so much for joining us. We got 4GQTV. What's going on, 4GQTV? Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. And let's see. And people are talking here. Doggy Dog says, we played a little Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Friday night. Also, Exo Primal with Cybergun 31 and Jago Kukin. It was pretty fun. And Happy Cloud Gamer says, xCloud is so great I can play Battlefield 2042, Halo Infinite multiplayer flawless. Well, I'm lucky. xCloud is just as responsive as my Xbox Series X when I play. Man, your infrastructure must be phenomenal. Because there is a data center here, maybe 50 miles away from it, and it's noticeable. Not terrible, but noticeable. And Doggy Dog says he's been playing the Mortal Kombat 1 beta and finished off Jedi Survivor. You'll have to give us a review on Jedi Survivor on Friday, Doggy. That'd be fun. All right, guys, but let's get to the news. Let's get to the main events here. So let's see. For those of you who have not bought a new system since 2013, yeah, that's when the Xbox One launched. So for those of you that held on to that Xbox 360, when did the Xbox 360 come out? In 2008?
I think it was 2008.
8, I think. Yeah. So for those of you who have been holding on to your Xbox 360s, some sad news, I guess. But the Xbox 360 store is shutting down. So any games that are not backwards compatible with no physical releases are going to be gone and lost forever. That is the consequence of the digital marketplace we live in now, is that sometimes things go away. Now, a lot of 360 titles have already been delisted by the publishers, by the developers, for years. Like, for example, there's a really fun zombie game I like called I Made a Game with Zombies in It. And it was only $1. And it's one of the most fun twin stick shooters I ever played. And it got delisted years before the one came out. But I can still play it and download it, obviously, because I own it. But none of my friends could ever buy it, and I'm sure most people never even heard of it. So things like that have been delisted. Well, you can't really blame Xbox for it. Those were delisted by the publishers or the developers if they were indie developers, self-published, right? But games that have not been delisted, games like Bastion, okay, a great indie game, it's going away. And you won't be able to get it anymore. So let's get people's thoughts on this right away. So it's been 10 years since the Xbox One launched. Terry, what do you think? Is it time? Is it enough time?
I feel like it's enough time. Like I have, I mean, the only time I boot up a 360 game is if I was going through my library and I saw I had like a Games from Gold I claimed a long time ago and never launched. And then I'll go and I'll pick one randomly out of my library. But like I don't search for games on 360 to purchase. So I think it's time.
All right, you think it's time? Are you going to be sad that does it make you a little sad that some of these amazing games, some of them are pretty amazing, some of them are pretty, just not amazing, are going away forever and will be lost? Like, does that make you sad that some games will now be lost forever, essentially?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure there's still plenty of hidden gems that I haven't discovered.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's happened with Games with Gold. Is there were a lot of games that I just used to claim the games and never play them,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would years later go back and go through them, and I found some gems that were really good. So I'm sure there's a lot of games that are really good that I still have no knowledge of that I won't be able to get later on, which kind of sucks if I ever do discover them later on. But in the grand scheme, I think I'm fine though, because I don't go out of my way looking for 360 games. Like all the big ones for the most part are already backwards compatible.
Yeah.
And like I'm not losing anything I already have, so it's not the end of the world. It'll just be unfortunate for anything that I might discover in the future that I didn't know about, and like, well, now it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Yeah. Okay, so Dreadful, what about you? What are your thoughts on this?
I'm sad about this because whatever happened to, I don't know, keeping the library going, you know what I mean? Keeping these games from dying out, we were supposed, that was one of the things that Phil said, something about, wanting to keep these games going forever. And I understand why they have to do it, but I don't understand why they have to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, I get it. Some games are just not there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're looking at some of the classic Call of Duty, Burnout. I mean, some of the Darkstalkers, Mortal Kombat, Duke Nukem. We'll give that one only because it's an oldie for some of us. But there's a lot of games there that still have value to it to be out there for future generations to run across. And yeah, they might not be the most glamorous when it comes to visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the controls are still relevant, so losing some of these games, yeah, it is a big deal. There some of the stuff I understand if they remade them, you know, I get it, but why? You know, I get it. I mean, you know, they're probably not seeing much commercial success, you know, and on the continuance to justify to keep it, you know, those servers up and going. I mean, they got to keep them up and running if you already own the game, so you can re-download them again on your next set of consoles.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah,
know,
but you get to remove the purchase part of the server. You know, you get to shut down those fees,
yeah, but
which I don't know if it's separate.
it should
Like-
be, you know, and that I was hoping when I saw it, I was hoping that, okay, it's just for the 360 console. And if you have a one or a series console, you'd still be able to access these, but no, they're totally not. They're going to be gone completely. So if you didn't get any of these, you should probably, I mean, I could see if they put a huge sale on it to try to get as much, as many sold, so that way people would have the ability to buy as many of these. And you know, you're talking about 220 games that are gone forever.
Yeah.
So it saddens me when when I look at it like that, because I can't afford buying 200. You know, let's just say each one is $5. That's still well over $1,000.
Yeah. You know, some of these are already on other places, like Batman the Telltale series. I have this one physical, which I don't know why this is here. I have this one physical. It does exist. So the list is not overly comprehensive. Some intern probably made this list to the best of his ability or her ability, right? So take the list for what it is, right? But here's a list of all 220 from VGCVideoGamesChronicles.com. They took the time to make this list. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, another great game that got highly rated. Burnout Crash, as Dreadpool was talking about. Call of Duty Classic. Now we're talking the old PC Call of Duty, so this one's still available on Steam, but no longer going to be available. Child of Light is another good one. Let's see. Contrast. This one I'm surprised because this one is now first party. This one should be backwards compatible. Who made this one? Contrast is made by We Happy Few, the same people as We Happy Few.
Yeah, and it was given away as Games with Gold.
Yeah.
So
a great game. I love that game.
It's a good game,
Yeah.
to be honest.
If you're a Panzer Dragoons fan, the spiritual successor Crimson Dragon is going away, even though it did terrible because it was on Connect, but it's going away. Let's see. What else do we have? By the way, guys, if you see something that you like, I want to mention.
Darkstalker's Resurrection. I already said it, but oh my god, that's such a good game. Yeah, it's a good game.
Okay. Let's see.
Here's the other thing, though.
Yeah.
There is a remake that they released with 3 or 5 of the other games, like Fighting Vipers, and a few other of the Japanese versions, all as a collection. So when I look at it, yeah, initially it sucks, but some of these games that are on here, they actually have a one version or a newer rendition of it. So it sucks to see it go, but at the same time, there's other options for some of them to still stay there and be around, you know. So it just hurts.
Yeah, definitely. Some of our chats chiming in now. Let's see. Let's see. Doggy Dog says it's good they give us a year's warning that it's happening. Yeah, definitely good. Happy Cloud Gamer says you should go out and buy physical. That's right. I'm a huge physical collector. Fastback says the publishers of the third-party games on the 360 store should provide another way to buy. And shout out to Red Monkey Butt for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us, Red Monkey Butt. You are the real MVP. Let's see. Red Monkey Butt says the 360 came out 18 years ago. If you haven't bought the games you want by now, then you didn't want them anyway.
No,
Yeah.
I think part of it is you forgot about them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many, especially nowadays, there's so many games coming out. Nobody's looking back into the past being like, okay, what haven't I bought that I wanted to buy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're too busy in the now.
I'm gonna have to go and look at my wish list or whatever it was. I have a list of 360 games I wanted digital only somewhere. I'm gonna have to see if any of these are on the chopping block, if you will.
Yeah, I all my 360 games that were on the 360, I went ahead and downloaded everything I could and transferred them to an SSD because I wanted to get them off the hard drive.
Yeah.
So everything's on an SSD, so I can plug it into either of the 360s that I own and still play it from the 360.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, what happens after that? And I understand if it was a 360 console issue, I get it. Don't let the 360 console have access anymore. Let the One and the Series S and X have access, but that's not the case.
Well, you know, as Phil pointed out, they need permission from the publishers, and sometimes they couldn't get a hold of these people, and they put what 3-4 years behind they put some like 5 years behind the backwards compatibility program to try to secure as many of these as they could.
Yeah.
So Xbox did put the effort out.
But I mean, Echo the Dolphin, we know who's got access to all that.
Yep, Sammy. But Sega is well known for abandoning old versions and re-releasing. Like, this is not the only place you're going to be able to play Echo the Dolphin. Just pointed it out. And not even the last place you can play it on the 360. You know, the 360 had, what was it, Sonic's Genesis collection? And there it was. You know, the Sonic's Greatest Hits or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. But again,
so
it's like you have to know about that.
Mm-hmm.
See, so, and that's the thing is, if you don't know where to look, and this is the only thing that you can see, it hurts you. But then like I said with the other fighting game, Darkstalkers, same difference. If you don't know that they re-released it with the newer version, how would you know to look for it there? You don't, and that's the problem.
Exactly. Dust and Elysian Tale, this one did get an Xbox One release as well. It got ported. It's a Metroidvania. It might be for some people, but I couldn't get into it. Fez, this is the one that you should definitely get, guys. I'll talk more about Fez here in a minute. Let's see. Fruit Ninja Connect, believe it or not, this game is awesome. On your Connect, if you have a Connect and you're a Connect fan, you should definitely get it. Happy Cloud Gamer says, so digital games and cloud gaming will take over, but this is a dark side to that future as well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is. Let's see. Gianna Sisters, Twisted Dream. This is it's either the prequel or the sequel to the Gianna Sisters. There's two of them, and I can't remember one. Gotham City Imposters. This is like the first-person shooter Gotham City game.
That was a good game, but it died off. I tried going back
quick. It's multiplayer only.
Yeah, it just doesn't have the player base.
Yeah,
and that's unfortunate. It's a good game, and it was a nice twist, but again, that's going to be another one of those that
I feel like this game has no choice but to die off, because even if it stays on the 360, or even if it gets a backwards compatible or whatever, the servers have been shut down for a while, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
actually, and if they haven't been, they will be.
I tried buying the game for a friend, and I couldn't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's not an option for everyone, but majority of these games are on Steam. Just go play them over there. It's not the end of the world to go play them on
Steam. Yeah, for sure.
But that's what I'm saying. Some people don't know to look elsewhere. So whether it's elsewhere on Xbox
Max the Curse of the Brotherhood is
they made a one version of it, so
I highly recommend that one.
All right. Mighty Number 9 is also on here, the spiritual successor by the guy that created Mega Man. Mortal Kombat Arcade is out. Let's see. Pinball FX2 was really popular back in the day. I'm just trying to look at what the Resident Evils here. Res HD, which has had many re-releases, but Res, if you haven't played it, it's like a music shoot 'em up. Very cool. Some board games, which were very popular. Scenic Movie Night. I bought this game. I own it. It's amazing.
Oh, that's a great game.
Yeah, it's super fun. Super fun to play. Let's see. Oh, this one right here is a huge one. South Park Tournament's Revenge was a really, really good game. You have Space Channel 5, Part 2, for those of you who are Sega people. This is Part 2, right? It didn't really get a physical release anywhere, so this might be one you might want to jump on. Let's see. What do we got? State of Decay. Again, backwards compatible. I don't know why this one's on here. They own Undead Labs. They're not going to let it go. So here you have some Street Fighters. I know my boy Doggy over there he's over there crying himself to sleep. Super Street Fighter as well. Tales from the Borderlands. Again, got a physical release. Trials, a great motorcycle puzzler, was fun.
Valiant Hearts, so good.
Which one?
Valiant Hearts, The Great War, fantastic.
Valiant Hearts. Oh, okay. Vigilante 8, if you remember that one, that's like Twisted Metal. Got Watchmen, Wing Commander Arena, The Wolf Among Us, the Worms games, always fun to play with friends. Get you pissed off. And yeah, so we'll go with Terry. Which one of these do you recommend the most? If people were to panic buy any of these, which one would you say they should panic buy?
I don't know, like the ones that I feel like the ones that I noticed the most, or I think are all available on the one. So I think you should be fine. But it would be Contrast, Max Curse of the Brotherhood, and Valiant Hearts. Those are the three that I highly recommend people play.
Okay, Valiant Hearts. Let me see if I can find
that's
that
also
one.
available on the one, so it wouldn't be.
Is Valiant Hearts available on the one?
I'm pretty sure it is.
And Max is available on the one, but they keep taking it on and off. So it's like I would say just grab it so you have it, because that one comes and goes.
Here we go. Tell me about Valiant Hearts, The Great War.
It takes place, I think, during World War II. I think it's World War II. Basically, you're playing through this story of the soldier he's going through, and as everything, the bombs are falling and things are happening, and it's just, there's really not much I can really say without giving out too much. But it's an impactful story. It's a side scroller, but it's an impactful story, and it's really good. And I recommend it. Everybody should play it.
I recommend it too. It's an adventure game with puzzle. So it's
is this the one with the dog?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Is there a trailer for this one? There is.
There should be.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Okay. Hold on. Let me share with the chat here. The art style looks amazing. It looks very like Don't Starve Together.
Again, it's
a Ubisoft game. What are you people doing?
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah.
I did not know it's a Ubisoft game. Why
Shame on you.
I know.
Okay, so World War I. My bad.
So World War I. So, based on the letters they sent, wow. It has a cute art style to it. Like I said, very Don't Starve Together art style. I don't know what this art style is called, but it's really cool. All right, so he's going through training. He's doing some fighting with his medical dog. The man is broken. I know you guys can't hear what's happening here, but it's like reading a letter.
This movie's an emotional journey. It's really good.
It's good. I
Is
got to
this
go back
backwards
and finish.
compatible?
There's a one version.
Okay, so it got ported. It might not be backwards compatible, but it got ported.
Right.
I might buy it. Jeez, this looks awesome.
Gameplay, remember, like gameplay is a side scroller.
Hey, I'm fine with gameplay side scrollers. I just want to play great games.
This
Look
one's great.
what happened with Bramble.
Yeah, this one's great. So everybody should play this one at least once.
Okay, so the 360 version is going away, but it's okay. There's an Xbox One port, everybody. It looks great. And like I said, I know you guys can't hear it because I'm not sharing the audio, but it's basically reading letters out loud of what you're watching. So that's cool. Oh man, it has so sad. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, it is. It'll get you.
Damn you, Terry, making me get all emotional on stream. Get it together, Alec. Get it together, Axel. Get it together. All right, Dreadpool, bring me out of this emotional mess. Anyways, Valiant Hearts. So Valiant Hearts. Let's see. Dog and Dog says this is an Xbox. This is on Xbox One. So there you go. It is definitely ported. Dragonheart Yobi, shout out to Dragonheart Yobi. Thank you so much for joining us. He says, I installed it last week. I'll be playing Valiant Hearts tonight. I forgot about that game until recently. Yeah. Jason Max comes in saying, just remember, Xbox is #1. That's right, Jason Max. You tell him. You tell him. Let's see. Eternal Shaddai joins us. I'm with Cool Cat Terry. Valiant Hearts is very special. I beat that. Why haven't you featured this on one of your indie spotlights?
Because there's so many games. There's so many games.
Jason Max. Microsoft is broke. They shut down Twitter sharing now. Now this too. I do remember that. I do remember. And back from the dead again. Thank you so much for joining us. You are the real MVP. Eternal Shaddai says, I love Dust. I beat that game. What a beautiful game. Let's see. Let's see. I remember a game I loved on the NES, thought it was lost forever, and showed up on EverCade. These games are never lost. Some of them are. Some of them are. They like my game, Panzer Dragoon Saga. They lost the code for it, so it's never coming back. Web Dave says, "Good morning, Web Dave." If I didn't already say it, I think I already did, but just in case, good morning again.
And what is he?
He is the real MVP.
There you go.
That's right. Dreadpool, which one of these games are you going to recommend?
Okay. I've already listed a whole bunch of
You got to pick one to talk about.
But we're going to talk about one. All right. And for those of you, I know this one here is very niche. Okay. But there's a reason why I like this one. And it's called Fire Pro Wrestling. And again, it's very niche. But the fact that with this game here, you can use your avatar and put it in as one of the wrestlers.
No way.
That is the coolest thing ever. And unfortunately, it's not backwards compatible. So if you have a 360 that's still up and running, this is really cool game. Again, it's very niche because you got to be into wrestling. So if you're not into that stuff, it's not going to do anything for you. But if you are, and if you are into playing with your avatar in the games, this is one of those. Kind of like that Mario Kart style of I forgot what it's called now that they have racer that you can put your avatar in. This is one of those. You create your avatar, you can create your wrestler, and they're all avatar style figures. So it's a really cool game. The second one came out on PlayStation, so we never got the second one. But this one here is really cool for what it is. It's very unique.
All right, and so we're watching gameplay real quick, guys. Let me cover the watermark here from the Real Wolf Flea. Shout out to the Real Wolf Flea. This is his or her avatar.
So you can see it's your literal standard avatar that just does, whatever setup you do. And then you go from there. You play your game, enjoy it all. It's just cool to see the person you created.
All right. So they go Fire Pro Wrestling. Terry. Fire Pro Wrestling.
I never played it, so.
Oh, sorry about the internet, everybody. I don't know what's happening. Anyways. So I used to love playing games with my avatars. You know what? Let me just do this because it might be loading an ad. Okay, no, it's not. Okay. I used to love playing games with my avatars. I remember throwing my avatar into as many games as possible just because I thought it was so cool, and it's one of the features that I wish they would have never given up. I remember playing with my avatar in CNET, playing with my avatar in 1 vs 100, playing with my avatar in Guitar Hero, playing with my avatar in some sort of kart racer. It was just fun. So I do like the avatar style games. And I love wrestling, so this could be one of those fun ones.
This reminds me back in those days when they were talking about how you can have a character and eventually your persona would be in each and every game. So whether you're playing Call of Duty, whether you're wrestling, whether you're driving, that same avatar would transition throughout all the games. And this was like the one step leading to that. And then nothing ever happened. But that was
I'll paint and ship.
Yeah. But that was the cool, when we were talking about it back in those days, it was cool because I could have my avatar in Call of Duty, but it wouldn't look like this. It would be, obviously a little bit more realistic. Everything would fit with the type of game, but it would all stem from your current figure that you had created.
Yeah, this is the metaverse via Xbox, and they could have done it. This is what the metaverse is talking about, how everything just transitions. So, yeah, they've already done it. I don't understand why they think they need to reinvent the wheel. But yeah, great choice, Dreadpool.
Thank you.
Great choice. So I don't think it's going to come with any surprise over the game I'm going to do here. But let's check in with the chat first. Let's see. So question, how many games do you all complete per year? For me, I struggle to finish games. Starfield is going to take away my social life. I finish anywhere from 6 to 12 games a year. Just because of the amount of game time I have, it takes me a long time to finish games. And so the longer the game, I'll beat some short ones, I'll beat some moderate ones, but if I really, 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 really like a game, I'll finish it in like 2 days, 3 days.
I've got gaming ADD.
Yeah,
so well, for me to finish a game,
I'm so busy,
yeah,
I don't have, and I like playing a game. I'm not trying to rush to the finish. I like doing side quests. I like getting collectibles, stuff like that. Like if I want a complete piece of armor in an RPG, I'll go out, I'll run around until I find it. So yeah, I've finished it with from 6 to 12 games a year. What about you, Terry?
Oh man, back it's drastically changed. So back when I was, living the military wife lifestyle, I had a lot of free time, so I was able to push out like 30 games or more in a year. Now with my work schedule, I probably get maybe 10 done. I don't know, maybe more.
What about you, Dreadpool? You should finish like 50 games.
Yeah, right. I start like 50 games. Well, I guess if you consider as a victim on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I beat it, same day.
I mean, I won my victory royale on Fortnite, and I consider that game beat.
I got one of those too.
Yeah. Let's see. Doggadot says that was cool when you could use your avatar in games. They don't do that stuff now. The new avatars are lame compared to the old ones. I agree. Dragonheart Yobi agrees with you. He agrees that Fire Pro Wrestling is awesome and is customizable from top to bottom. And Happy Cloud Gamer says, I think the Xbox 360 was the high point of my gaming life. Yes, And shout out to Noof Nukem. Boom, boom, kaboom. Noof Nukem is in the real room. Thank you so much for joining us, Noof Nukem. We appreciate you. You are the real MVP. Yeah, and Noof is about the same, 6 to 12. And he only finishes, and he says he finishes games that are usually under 20 hours. Now, I'll finish longer games than that, but still.
Mm-hmm.
So this trailer comes to us by GameStop, by the way, GameSpot. Hopefully they don't copyright, but they are copyright crazy. So in case this gets copyright claimed, my game is Fez. So Fez, to me, is a game everybody should play. It did get a port recently to the Nintendo Switch, I believe, and maybe other places. But yeah, this game is a 2D perspective 3D puzzler with intuitive puzzles. And the point of the game is to collect these little shiny cubes and to find a way to go get them. So as you rotate the map, what you can jump on, what you can climb on, and everything changes because it's a perspective-based puzzler. And it has a Rosetta Stone. And I love this game because you had to play this game to solve all the puzzles. You had to play this game with that Rosetta Stone to decrypt the language in this game. So they created their own language in this game. It's so intuitive, so fun. The platform is beautiful. They're not showing any gameplay here. Just a bunch of... All right, here we go. They're going to start showing some. Just a bunch of rotations of what the world looks like, which is still beautiful. And so the reason you're gathering these things is because your world is dying, and the master cube that holds your world together divided into many pieces, and you have to collect it to save your world. And there's 2 playthroughs of this game. One is in this outside perspective of you looking at your at Fez. I'm assuming it's called Fez because you wear a little hat, and the hat is what gives you the perspective. But the second playthrough is you get some sunglasses, and you can play through the game now, the perspective game, in first-person view, which is totally different. You get to find more of these pieces that you missed last time. Some puzzles open up. It's really interesting how this game works. So, yeah, you can just see how the game goes. And, of course, there's a Switch trailer. But, yeah. And here, as you can see, those static, that's your world falling apart, and you got to put it together. So Fez, definitely not backwards compatible, definitely never got a physical release, definitely not on the Xbox One or anything. You guys should definitely buy this one. It is a really good puzzle platformer for those of you that enjoy that. So yeah, that's my pick, is Fez. For those of you. Okay, so we had a poll in the chat. I'm going to end the poll there. Terry, how did the chat feel about the Xbox 360 store shutting down?
All right, 36. It's an even split for 2 of them here. 36% said yes, they're okay with it. It's been 10 years. Another 36% said that they may not like it, but they accept it. And 26% are still that they said no, out with the old.
All right.
I wish I could fix my click because I accidentally clicked the wrong one.
There you go. Let's see. Chair Walker, shout out to Chair Walker. Thank you so much for joining us. You are the real MVP. He says, 1 game a year for me. That's right, Chair Walker. And Mr.
Kima, that Call of Duty lifestyle. What's that? Game a year. That Call of Duty lifestyle, 1 game a year.
That's right. Mr. Kima joins us. He says, good morning, good Sunday morning. Good Sunday morning to you, Mr. Kima. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. You are the real MVP. And Noof Nukem says, Xbox is pulling a Nintendo. Yeah. You know, the big counter argument about this is that the PlayStation 3 store was shutting down, and everybody threw a big old hoopla about it. And Sony decided not to shut it down, but they still did. And so out of the big 3, Xbox is shutting down the store 10 years later, which seems to be kind of the way this is going.
So much for game preservation.
Yes, so much. And Black Carde says, what's up, guys? What's going on, Black Carde? Thank you so much for joining us. You are the real MVP. All right. So there you go. Our thoughts. I think it sucks that it's shutting down. From a business standpoint, I understand. From a gamer standpoint, it sucks. But my recommendation is Fez. Terry's recommendation is I'm actually going to have to get it. Valiant Hearts. And Dreadful recommendation was Fire Pro Wrestling. Fight with your avatar. All right, let's move the show right along to our next topic. A bit of a silly topic, but Noof Nukem can probably chime in on this, as he did have something to say on Twitter about this. So I'm going to share my Twitter tab here. So CEO and game developer Grums says he put out a tweet. First off, he is Mark Kern, CEO and designer, former team lead of the original World of Warcraft. A great resume there. Producer of Diablo 2, another great resume there. StarCraft, another banger. And Chrono Trigger is his best game. So he put out a tweet. Let me see if I can find the original one. It should be here. Here we go. So he put out a tweet saying the physiognomy of start screens. The start screen of a game can reveal a lot about how rushed the team was and how much pride they took in their work. Starfield start screen either shows hastily shipping deadlines by a passionate team, overworked, or a team that didn't care. Either way you hack it, he's basically saying this start screen sucks. So here's the view of the start screen. Hopefully I don't get some sort of embargo. I didn't sign anything. But he's knocking on this start screen. There's a PC start screen, obviously, because there's a mouse in the screen grab right here. They say you can't judge a book by its cover. When I look at a game, I look at the cover art, which will be more like this. And the start screen kind of never really cared too much about. I guess I never paid that much attention to it until now. But is he right? Does a start screen reveal a lot about what you're about to play? Can it get you excited? Can it get you hyped? Can it get you down? Let's find out from Cool Cat Terry first.
I mean, I guess it can. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. Like, I feel like most people don't really care that much about the start screen. You know, they just want to be able to get into the game. But I mean, I honestly don't spend that much time on the start screen. So I don't know. But okay. I mean, there are some out there that are, pretty cool. I mean, you have like really good like background art and stuff. Those ones, are cool. This one is definitely bland, but in the end, I don't really think it matters. I mean, they're kind of, I feel like this fits the game. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think people are reading too much into it, to be honest.
Yeah. I really don't. I don't know. Dreadful start screens.
All right. Here we go. Here's the thing, right? Start screens really don't matter. The most, if you think about it, the biggest thing about a start screen is navigation. Okay. The bells and whistles of making it look pretty, this and that. And if you look on the same thread, he throws out there Command and Conquer remaster installation. That is probably the most, quote, the most insane example is probably the installer for the original Command and Conquer. It's never been outdone. This is the remastered version. Okay, so end quote. So when you look at it and you watch it, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but reality, I'm looking at it going, okay, what's the point? You're using up resources that could be, used for installing of, or getting the game running. I don't care if it's moving and this and that. I really don't. I just want to be able to navigate properly and get in and get out. I mean, they're all the same. I mean, I just literally, it's on the left-hand side, like we're looking at it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everything's on the left-hand side. There's nothing more than just a static picture and the same thing. So I think he's just trying to.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I think he's just trying to inject himself a little bit on that, wanting a preference that that there should be more to it. I don't know what. But reality is, this is just the one part of it. It's like when you first open up the cover of the book, like you said, the cover doesn't mean anything once you get into the meat of the book, which is inside where the pages are, the story is, how it's written, all that stuff. All right. So yeah, the cover is to get your eyeballs looking at it. But once you flip open the first cover, it's usually a blank page or an in memory of, or an honor to, something like that. After that, it has nothing to do with the book. You know what I mean? You go from there and you read like what the book's about, and then kind of go from there. Okay, but that's once you go beyond the new or the load or settings. You know what I mean? This part here really doesn't matter, and I don't understand why it's a big deal to anybody. And I think it's stupid to make it to push anything. I don't think it's a toxic fanboy. I just think he's prefaced that he likes a little bit more like a show for that. I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be anything extreme. Just get me to where I got to go so I can navigate it and move on.
Yeah. It makes me think of so one of my all-time favorite racing games is Driver Parallel Lines, and like when you start that game, you don't even have a start screen. It just does some real fun animations, and then boom, the game is playing like a dang movie, and you're in it. And you don't have a press start screen. You don't have the title where you gotta hit new game or settings or anything. It just loads up and boom, you're already playing the game. You don't even need it. Just get me in. All right. And then when you're in it, then you hit pause, and then you have all your options if you want to change stuff. You don't need a dang start screen. Get me in the game. Driver did it. And so I just remember that. Remember I booted up the game and it just started up like a movie and started playing it, and I'm like, this is awesome. I have this press A, press A, press A, press A, press A, like you do in every other game. Go through a whole spew of context for for all of their privacy and all this other crap. Just boom, game's playing. Driver did it right. So who cares what the background is? Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
So, let's see how our chat feels. First off, shout out to Pixelbit G for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. You are the real MVP. He says, Dread and Friends. Well, this is Good Morning Xbox, sir. That's a different podcast.
Love you, brother.
Let's see. Sir X-Man is here. Thank you so much for joining us, Sir X-Man. He says, this is weird because it doesn't say they're shutting down the store for Xbox One generation. They're not. It's just the 360.
Just 360.
Just the 360 stuff. Yeah, it's just even if you have an Xbox One, you cannot go to the 360 store. That's the problem.
Yeah. Let's see. Pixelbit G says Grums was fired from his last venture for misuse of funds, and he's clearly a hater. Wow. Let's see. And Fastback says Xbox can't preserve every game that has been on Xbox. Yeah, I don't think anybody can. Let's see. Doggy Dog says this title screen stuff is this title screen stuff the PS fanboys are running with now is just sad. They need to get a life. Good God. So yeah. There you go. Let's see. Oh, I lost my spot. I lost where you were, Doggy. Here you are. Okay. It's space. How do you want it to look?
Black.
Like Star Trek, maybe? I don't know, but that's a good bring.
They should just have a black screen with a couple little stars on it, and there, Starfield.
Yeah. So let's see. Happy Cloud Gamer says, I love start screens. So how is the start screen in Skyrim? It literally just says start. Noof Nukem says it's simple but classic. Yeah. These people who keep coming up with moronic shade on Xbox games have an agenda with Sony and some biased media to keep Xbox looking bad. It sure feels that game. Yeah. Let's see. It's a start screen. It's to hit start. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Fastback chimes in again. He says, this is the dumbest thing to worry about, especially if you press start once you're in a huge universe you can travel to. Facts. Hard facts. Plus, with quick resume, I'm never going to see this start screen ever. That's both hilarious and petty. Does the game play the way it's supposed to? A cool start screen is cool, but not necessary. Yeah, you know what? All I care about the start screen is, can I hit start and get into the game? Because if not, it's a buggy mess, you know?
You know what had a cool start screen now that I think about it?
What's that?
Black Ops.
Call of Duty Black Ops?
Yeah, because when you did the special menu selections, you got into the secret hidden game.
Okay. So there was a hidden game on the start screen. I guess that could be cool.
Yeah, through the start screen, there was a hidden game. Yeah, that was cool, but again, wasn't necessary.
Okay. Yeah, definitely unnecessary. Let's see. Chael Walker chimes in. He says, in the same thread, people have posted games he made with simple start screen. Yeah. They did post that. What is that? The game he made? Firefall. Enter name, enter password. Enter name, enter password. That's it. And from what I understand, this game flopped. So, yeah.
Maybe that's why he's so jaded.
Perhaps, you know. I don't know, but yeah, they did bring up his work. I mean, you can't criticize someone else's work without having your work criticized back, especially when your work is nowhere near the scope of what Starfield is, you know. And who knows, maybe, you know, Grumps does have the pedigree. I mean, World of Warcraft, fantastic game. Diablo 2, fantastic game. Some of these games are held in very high regard, so this guy has the pedigree, but I just don't understand why he's going after other developers.
Attention.
Yeah. This guy's just trying to get paid for his blue check mark. Yeah, someone brought that up too. And let's see. Congratulations, you can buy yourself a latte at Starbucks at the end of the month. Yeah, and get hated by a whole community. And it's Timid Bot joins us. What's going on? It's Timid. Thank you so much for joining us. You are the real MVP. Dan, the man, Cunningham joins us. Thank you so much for joining us, Dan, the man, Cunningham. You are the real MVP as well. Let's see. I don't know what's going on here. People are talking about other stuff. Yeah, Skyrim was a black screen, nothing more at the top. Still an epic game. Yeah. Elden Ring, my game of the year last year. It literally just said Elden Ring. Press start. That's it, you know?
Well, there is a difference between a start screen and a title screen. The start screen is the one that just says press start to, you know, to continue or whatever. This is a title screen.
Yeah. No joke. I love that title, Dread and Friends. I don't know. I have reservations about said title.
Don't take it personal.
Ice Cream Gaming. Hey, I'm back. Sorry, back from my holiday. Welcome back. Hopefully you had a great time on your holiday. Yeah, if anything, it should be called Dread and Acquaintances. Let's see. What else? Let's keep reading. No one ever said if there was a video. I hope they don't say it. I don't want anything to get ruined. And crying about a black start screen equals jealousy. You know, my opinion of this, obviously on PC, but it's going to look very similar. It has the name of the game with the logo, with a nice eclipse going on, or horizon coming up of the system star. For all we know, it animates on the back, but if it doesn't, it's okay. Who cares? It looks fantastic to me.
Yeah, what if the star is twinkling?
Yeah, you know, Even if it doesn't, like when you look at the Starfield trailer, let me pull up the Starfield
That
trailer.
solar flare probably moves.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like a twinkling.
You're not going to get much out of a screenshot. The solar flare probably moves, and there's probably other stuff happening.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, this is a setup.
It's a setup because I could take you could take a screenshot. If you have an animated title screen, you take a screenshot. You're missing out on all the other things that happen because you can't see them because they're not happening.
So let's look at the marketing material for Starfield here for a minute, right? So here is Starfield official gameplay trailer from Bethesda, right here, Bethesda Softworks, right? Look what happens. What's the first thing that happens?
Solar flare.
Solar flare. More Horizon shots.
Solar flare.
Get Michael Bay in here immediately. We need more lens flare. Let me see. There's a certain scene.
We're gonna have to rename the game from Starfield to Solar Flare.
Solar flare.
Solar Flare.
Why
Right,
am
here
I
we go.
picturing Saturday Night Live where she's got her fingers
Warp.
in her armpits?
More solar flare. Look at that solar flare.
Solar Flare.
Solar flare.
Solar Flare.
How is that start screen not in theme with the marketing material? I mean, look at that.
Solar Flare. Another one.
Even this guy running right there. Solar flare. Solar flare. Look at this. What are they call muzzle flash flare? Look at that. More solar flares here. Look at this.
Laser
Planets.
flare. Halo.
I mean, it's in line with the marketing. To me,
It
they
works
didn't
with
do
the
a
game.
bad job on that start screen at all.
Look
gonna
at
pause
the
it for a
colors
minute
of the
'cause there's-
logo.
Yeah.
It's
Here's the
basic
logo.
colors. Yeah, but
I mean, that's it. Just black Starfield. So they added some solar
And you
flare
can see,
behind it.
and that logo was animated, so that screen, it might still have that animation where the circle slowly fills in.
And then there's your rainbow. I know it's not.
It's the
true
ribbon.
rainbow.
It's the ribbon.
The ribbon. There you go.
Yeah.
But still, whoopie-doo.
So let's go back to this. There we go. Sorry about this, guys. Gonna move a lot. This is 100% in line with what has been shown in Starfield. This title screen, start screen, whatever the hell it is. It's in line. That's all I have to say. And shout out to Abacam72 who says, didn't a bunch of PlayStation people get together and try to spoil the game to everyone? I mean, that's just par for the course, man. If you know who the spoilers are, just block them, mute them.
Every major game in existence.
Yeah, every major game in existence. I mean, it is not a Starfield thing. They spoiled the story for The Last of Us 2. They spoiled the story for Red Dead Redemption 2. Every big launch, someone will spoil the story. That's just the reality of it.
It's just like the Harry Potter novels where they were all reading the last paragraph or two.
Right, I remember that. That's J.J. Abrams with the lens flares. That's right. I thought it was Michael Bay for sure. Oh, Michael Bay was the explosions. That's right. J.J. Abrams was the lens flare. That's right. That's right. Let's see. I am so hyped for Starfield. So I can't wait to play Starfield in Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty expansions. Yeah, cannot wait for Phantom Liberty as well. Super Starfield. And that is a normal start screen. And yeah, shout out to Abacab again. Thank you so much for joining us. Doggy Dog goes, Ric Flair, woo! That's right. Overall, it's a bunch of hoopla over nothing, in my opinion. The main thing is, are the settings that I want accessible, right? That's all I care about. To me, more important than the start screen and all this is what's in the settings menu. Can I control what I need to control in my settings menu? Can I turn off motion blur? Can I turn on filters, turn off filters? Can I expand my field of view sliders? Things of that nature. That is what I care. Can I remap buttons? Of course, on Xbox, you can remap no matter what. But I'm just saying, can I remap buttons and stuff of that nature? So to me, more important than the start title screen is the menus. That's all I care about here. I don't care about all this. I care about the menus. This could be a straight up black with nothing on it, and just pop this up, and it will have the exact same effect on me as it would if it was fully animated, rotated in the background, all that crap.
I get very bothered when I go into the options and they don't have proper audio settings in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they'll have it to where there'll be certain things that'll be grouped into one slider, and so you can't filter it. I hate that. Or they won't even have anything. They'll just have audio on and off. And I hate that too. That's even worse.
Yeah.
I get so triggered.
I mean, look at Skyrim. Widely considered one of the greatest RPGs of all time. You have The Last of Us here. This might be The Last of Us 2. You have God of War. Super simple. And Ghost of Tsushima. Is this Ghost of Tsushima? It looks like it.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, people just, I don't know. Chat. Let's find out how the chat feels. And the poll there. Terry, how does the chat feel?
57% say that the screen doesn't matter. 38% said this was a bad take, and only 4% says that this matters.
There you go. So, and by the way, chat, for those of you who are lurking in the background just listening, we appreciate each and every one of you as well. You are all the real MVP. Even if you do not engage in the chat, you are all still very much appreciated. Be sure to hit that like button, share this show out with a friend, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. We run this show every week. Let's see. So here's Elden Ring, of course, my game of the year title screen. That's literally all it was. That's it. So, I mean, title screens are just there to get you into the game. And frankly, the more simple, the better. So that way it takes even less time to load. So, yeah, that's what I think. And, of course, the typical Twitter banter comes around. Again, if you don't like this dark side of Twitter, don't go there. But this is the dark side of Twitter sometimes. I mean, look at that. Super easy. Super simple. All right. Let's see. And shout out to Splendiffers saying, is that right, Axel? It sure is. You are the real MVP there, Splendiffers. Thank you so much for joining us. And Ice Cream Gaming says, I just think it should have had a welcome to Starfield in the middle, not with the welcome thing at the corner. You know, maybe I should say, I know they have a slogan called for all into the Starfield. That's their slogan right now. So, yeah. There you go. I want to know what that crew tab means. Well, in 11 days, you get to find out, buddy. Yeah, and Happy Cloud Gamer makes a very good point. The thing I love with Bethesda games is the music. The first thing they work on is music. And as a movie geek and into acting, I know how much the music is making a film so much better. Yeah, you know, a lot of these Bethesda games have phenomenal title screen soundtracks. You know, you have the what is it? The tower? What is it called? Something Born, Dragonborn on Skyrim. You know that you know?
Yeah.
On Skyrim, that song, it just gets you into it. You know you're about to go on an epic adventure.
Get you pumped.
That's right, get you pumped. But you guys know what else gets you pumped? Terry's Indie Spotlight gets you pumped. It's time.
All right, friends, welcome back to my spotlight. And today's game is going to be for those of you who are real big Mega Man fans. So if you like Mega Man,
yeah,
pay attention. All right, this one's for you all. So let's just get right into it. Let me blast the trailer for you guys. Hopefully it's working this time. Last week it didn't have audio and I had to redo it. So hopefully we're good. So let's roll that beautiful, footage.
Sound effect. exciting.
All right, so there you have it, you guys. Gravity circuits. So if you're real big into like the retro 2D platformers and stuff like Mega Man, and this one's for you. It's got the sound effects and the music are spot on for that, genre. And if you're a hardcore Mega Man fan, it probably hit you, and you're probably getting into that. So it's pretty cool. So go ahead and check this out. It's a single player game. It's got 12 stages. You play as, so the characters are called circuits, and you start off playing as Kai, and you can, it has replayability to play as other circuits, and your whole job is to stop the virus army's uprising. So you got to take them out, because this is a sentient robot universe. So have some fun with that. And the game takes a lot of inspiration from Mega Man X. The game also has a shop system, so you can, buy and upgrade your abilities and things like that. And it's got a good story. And there's also, if you are someone who is into like trophy achievement hunting, it'll take you about 15 hours to 100% the game in that fashion. But so it's not a very long game, but it's, it does do a good job for what it does. So you can still have some good fun. Now, I only have one piece of bad news about this game, and this game is not available on Xbox, but it is on PC, PlayStation, and Switch. So you can get it everywhere except for Xbox, unfortunately.
This is an Xbox podcast, Terry.
I know, but it's an indie game, and I had to feature it. All right. But so PC sells this game for $17, and that's both, I checked both Steam and Epic, and they both sell it for $17, whereas PS4, PS5, and the Switch sell it for $22. So console, you have a console uptick in price, but otherwise, go and get it on PC. Hopefully, they'll bring it to Xbox. I'm not sure why they excluded Xbox, but hopefully, it'll come to Xbox. So go ahead, check it out.
You know what else sells this game?
What?
Xbox.
What?
Is it on here now?
No, but it would have.
It would have.
Well, I'm so sad. I was so excited, and now you make me.
I literally checked
a controller that's not an Xbox controller, that doesn't have the Lord's thumbstick layout.
Well, you can use that controller on PC.
Lost Boomer says, "Boo! Get off!" You know what? It is what it is. All right, hold on. I gotta find the tweet that I'm looking for, if it even still exists. If it even still exists, because I had bookmarked it and now it's gone, so it might have disappeared. You never know. All right. Anyways, so let's get into our next topic, and our next topic has to do with Baldur's Gate 3, the game that's not coming to Xbox yet, but will sometime. Don't know when, but Baldur's Gate 3 seems to be scaring, quote unquote, scaring some devs. Now, if you follow Dustin Legary from IGN, he posted a video about Baldur's Gate 3 quality and how some devs should be worried. And some devs took it very personal. Like, he didn't call out any dev in particular, but some people got very defensive on Twitter, as is usual. Twitter's there for you to give your opinions and your thoughts, and nothing's wrong with that. Your thoughts could be good, your thoughts could be bad. I'm sure we've all had a, oh man, why did I send that moment, right? So let's talk about it, right? So the Baldur's Gate 3 is widely being considered one of the greatest games of all time. It's so good that it's gotten the highest score on Meta probably in the last 5 years that I know of, right? And Metacritic, it's hard to get a high score. It's hard to be in the 90s, and it's even harder to be above 95. So for your game to be above 95, you got to be doing something special. So what's the secret sauce? What is Baldur's Gate 3 doing that AAA devs just aren't? And in my opinion, it's Baldur's Gate 3 launched complete. Very good game with minimal bugs, nothing game breaking, obviously. Content rich, full of content with so much to do, so much to explore, and it also didn't launch with a store for microtransactions. Like, hey, you want this cool costume? Play the game. You want to unlock this ability? Play the game. There is no pay to win or pay to look cool or pay to get extra experience faster in Baldur's Gate 3 that I'm aware of. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. Please do, but I don't think there is. And so, as gamers, we've gotten used to this whole launch now, fix the game, patch later mentality, right? And Xbox themselves are guilty of this. I mean, Halo Infinite, well, I'm a huge Halo guy, right? It launched missing split screen, still missing split screen. It launched just with not as robust multiplayer as it should have had. It doesn't have a PvE mode. In my opinion, the biggest crime it has right now is no PvE mode. And things of that nature. So it didn't even launch with online multiplayer. So it was a full first person only experience, but they patched it later, So a lot of devs are hitting back against, Baldur's Gate 3 had a 3-year early access period. It had a budget that a lot of other games don't have, so forth and so on. Not every game can be like Baldur's Gate 3, so forth and so on. So they're pushing back against what used to be the industry norm when we were younger. But younger generations, they're getting used to this whole launch now, fix later mentality that is being thrown out. So should devs be scared of Baldur's Gate 3's success and what they did? And we'll go to Dreadpool first.
Yes, they should be. The problem is we've not accepted it. We have not accepted the fact that these games are coming out half-assed, basically. Sorry, it is what it is. Halo was one of those games. I'm, and I would have taken Halo because I'm such a huge fan, but that's also the problem. I would have taken it the way it was, presented the year prior, before they held it back a full year and then released it. And even then, they didn't have all the features that it should have had. And I understand that a lot of these games, and that's the problem, is a lot of people forget how huge these games are, right? We're not in the 8-bit era, the 16-bit era, even the 32-bit era. Those games were so small. You look at the 360 and PS3 era, those games were typically at the max 6 gigabits or 6 gigabytes. When you look at it. So if you're looking at 3 to 6 gigs on an average for a game, and now we're hitting 120, so on an average from 80 to 120 on up, that's a lot of information. That's a lot of room for errors. That's a lot of room for bugs and hard to figure out. So when you look at it in that aspect, it makes sense that these games are taking longer. It makes sense that there's issues with these games, but it doesn't mean it's acceptable, right? Because if you bought this game, okay, let's this game will fit on a disc, right? And you bought this game on the disc. And what's going on right now with 360 store? That store is closing down. That game is no longer available. Are we even 100% certain we would get the most up-to-date version, or would we be playing with a broken game? You know, that's the way it was back in those days with the cartridges. If those games had to be absolutely perfect when they launched on cartridge, because there was no updating. There was no, well, we can get to it later. Oh, well, we can add this part later. Oh, we can do this later. None of that was acceptable. It had to be as perfect as possible. Even Nintendo 64 with Mario 64, right? There's a coin that you have to glitch to get to this coin. So that one coin that's inside of a mountain, you have to glitch it. And if you don't do it right, you know, there's certain things that you can't do because it's not fixed. They actually fixed the cloud mechanism when he takes off running. There's that little puff of cloud. They fixed that like 20 years later. But again, you know, the game launched as it was. It is what it is. They didn't notice it. They didn't know how to fix it at that time. They didn't even realize that there was a problem, and it went. And you know, 20 years later, here we are fixing it, but it's on the emulation side. It's not on the actual cartridge. So again, it's one of those things. They need to be fearful, because that means they know that they need to step up. They need to do better. I mean, just because it's bigger and there's more flaws that can happen does not give you an excuse to fix it later. It does not give them an excuse to do all this stuff. You know, and that's the other thing, is the microtransactions. We're in a society now where we've grown to be accustomed to accepting microtransactions. But there are many games out there that don't require microtransactions. You buy the game once, you don't do anything more. There's no add-on, there's no nothing. Your add-on is buying, you know, the sequel to it. You know, that's it. There's nothing more to it. But that's the beauty of having games digitally, like we have them, so we can add more content to it. It shouldn't be adding something because we held back something else, because we couldn't finish making it, because we couldn't do this, because we couldn't do that. That's the problem, and that's unfortunate for us. We're the ones that has to deal with it. It's not that we accept it. We don't have a choice. If we want to play this game now, we don't have a choice. I played Callisto Protocol. What happened? I got stuck. I had to wait for 10 updates, and I was still stuck. The 11th update is when I was able to get past a certain event. I've done the whole powering down the Xbox, resetting the Xbox, re-downloading the game, redoing that. Yeah, I've done everything that I could to fix that glitch. Other people were able to get past it using those methods. Other people didn't even have to use any of those methods to get past it. But guess what? Some of us still had to use those methods and still couldn't get past it until like the 11th or 12th update for the title. And then we finally got past it. But again, that breaks the game. That does not want me to spend any more money on it. You know, we've had games where they put out a game and you can see the content is there on the disc, but it's locked for future payments. That you already made the content. Why is it locked for future payments? This is the stuff that is a negative to the gaming community, a negative towards the gaming devs that are doing all this. And I know a lot of it is corporate that is controlling this. So it's not necessarily the devs, but it's also corporate, because the devs are usually given a timeline on when to get out. They're usually given the timeline on, okay, this has to be gold by this time. They don't want to see it pushed back because investors don't want to see, they want this number to hit within this quarter, because this is a projection. And if you don't do that, the investors will be upset. I understand that. But the problem is, when you hold content back for whatever the reason, that's not a good look. What they did is they pushed that game. They even had a demo as a beta on, so that way they could see how it would run. It ran on Stadia. It ran on PlayStation. It ran on PC. And Stadia is completely different from PC. Xbox and PlayStation are on the same format. Obviously, there's some differences there, but it's on the 486 format, which is PC. So they are very highly PC compatible. However, there's those nuances which requires optimization. Stadia is based on a Linux format. So they're doing two different formats, and when Stadia died, they didn't have to concentrate on that anymore. But guess what? They got their test numbers to figure out how this was going. And obviously anybody that's had previous copy of the game had to erase it because it was incompatible with the copy that they have now that they released. So when you do that, okay, cool. It's out there, but they put 100%, I don't know, maybe 110%. And that's maybe what we need for more people. Because just in today's society, people don't want to work. People don't want to do anything, but they're entitled to CEO money. I'm not saying we're entitled as gamers to anything, but I paid money for a game. I didn't pay money for a broken game. I didn't pay money so I can pay more money to play more of the game. I understand if there's more content later on that was established, but I'm not paying money to unlock something that was already on the disc. When you lock content out like that, that's already made, it should be there. It shouldn't be an afterthought of, hey, you know what? Let's pull this out and we'll charge them more money so they can get this back. That's not acceptable. And for devs to be calling them out for doing their absolute best, that's the wrong way to look at it. That's, they are obviously feeling the heat from both sides. They're feeling it from the corporate side that they need to hurry up and get it out. I understand that they don't make the money decisions when it comes to stuff like that, but at the same time, this is where they need to step up, and that's why indies are the prime example where the AAAs follow. Indies are doing things that break the mold, and this is one studio that's not an indie studio, but it is a small studio, but they are passionate and they took care of their customer. Because what's going to happen next from anything that comes from Larian Studios, people will wholeheartedly have confidence that whatever they put out next will be an epic banger. It will be worth their time and money. You don't even need to know what the game is. It's just take my money, right now. Just, and that's the whole thing. With them doing the way that they did that, they did us wrong. You're gonna complain over this studio that put out a complete game, and that's not to say that we won't find bugs, but it's pretty much completed game, whole and whole, through and through. Wait a second, wasn't there another game that did something like that nobody complained about? Nobody said nothing about. Oh, what was that Zelda game? Tears of something? Oh,
Tears of the Kingdom, also highly rated, game of the year.
Right, but nobody complained about that one.
Nobody was scared of that one.
Why? Oh, because it's Nintendo? Does Nintendo get a pass? Is Larian Studios small enough that we can just take a dig at them? Sorry, but
good point.
I need to stop ranting and raving here. But it's just one of those things,
you got it, man. You got it.
I just think it depends on the game, on what you do. But again, not every game is going to be 100% require this much dedication, but put some dedication into it, put some passion into it. Don't put the passion into crying about what you can't do.
So put your back into it. Yeah. So the chat has gotten heated while you were talking, Dreadful. You're over here heating up the chat.
I'm sorry. Wasn't looking at the chat either. I was just
let's check in with the chat. Let's see. Let me go back. I gotta go back. Happy Cloud Gamer says, "Oh, I had a blast playing Baldur's Gate 3 on Google Stadia back then. People did hate Baldur's Gate 3, but now it's on PlayStation, PC. What the hell happened?" Yeah, and Baldur's Gate 3 was exclusive to Stadia. I do remember that. That. Shout out to DE. Thank you so much for joining us, DE. You are the real MVP. He says they answer to their own studio, not to shareholders. That could be a difference too. Larion is a privately held company. They do not answer to a shareholder. Do they? Are they self-published?
I don't recall.
Somebody who's played Baldur's Gate 3, let us know if Baldur's Gate is self-published or if they answer to a publisher.
They hold on to the money that's coming in.
Yeah. 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 And Chair Walker says, what's funny is Baldur's Gate 3 is that Act 3 is a technical mess. There has been 4 hot fixes and the 4th one had to be rolled back because it crashed the game. Hey, at least they're trying, man.
But did they charge you for
Baldur's
it?
Gate 3 is gatekeeping from Xbox because of stupid split screen. Hey, man, it's got to be what it's got to be. Abacab says they officially canceled split screen for Halo Infinite. Yeah, that kind of makes me sad. We talked about that last week in depth. Let's see. Fastback says Baldur's Gate 3 hype is overblown and no reason to compare it to Starfield. Different games and both can be great. I agree. They don't need to be compared as far as playstyle is concerned, but we're just saying that games should be complete, like Baldur's Gate, like Tears of the Kingdom. Like in Tears of the Kingdom, as I said, if I want a complete piece of armor, I will play until I find it because I know it's there. It's not going to be at a store. It's going to be there. And I love that. Gears Tactics. I don't know if a lot of people play Gears Tactics, but if you wanted certain armor sets in Gears Tactics, all you had to do was play the game. You were going to get it. Eventually, if you pick the right missions, because most of the armor was in side missions. So, yeah, there are some games that are still complete, in my opinion. And Gears has always been on that completeness level for the most part. Let's see. Let's see. Lots of stuff. And shout out to Mr. Joe in the Dark. He says, hello, Dreadpool. Shout out to Mr. John in the Dark. You are the real MVP. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Axel. Hello, Mr. John in the Dark. I'm not rude like that. I'll tell you hello.
Hello.
And hello, Cool Cat Terry. Let's see. So Fastback here makes a good point. Oops. There we go. He says, Dreadpool, games back in the day had no internet, multiplayer, 4K, 60 FPS demands. Today's games have or else, and co-op split screen is harder to optimize. Basically, yeah, games are bigger nowadays.
I understand that. That was my point.
But we also have better dev kits
bigger,
now,
but we have more people. We have AI. You know, there's a lot more that we have that we didn't have, and that's why I said the games are much bigger in scope, not just build, and that's the problem. Is if they don't put their time into it and they rush it, they're going to have these problems.
I mean, you had a lot of games that were super broken back in the day because they would release them on cartridge and there were no updates. You know, that's what you got. So if it was a broken piece of crap mess on your NES, that's what you got, you know? Yeah,
I mean, if there was even studios that were known for putting out broken games, LJN comes to mind. If you bought a game with that LJ and Rainbow, you know, as Angry Video Game Nerd says, there's not a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's a big steaming pile of crap at the end of that rainbow, you know. Shout out to Angry Video Game Nerd, man. That guy's so awesome. I wish I would meet him in real life. He's so cool.
Yeah. So I mean, people I do see that narrative where people be like, well, games back in the day were always complete, and that's not true. That's not true.
No, mostly. But when you have certain studios like we just talked about, you knew which ones to stay away from.
Yeah. Chet Walker says, also more than half of Baldur's Gate 3 was in early access for a year, so lots of bugs were found and addressed, sort of like Grounded. Good point, like Grounded. Yeah, Grounded did not launch for 2 years. It spent 2 years in the oven. Or I guess not the oven. Would it be the grill? The backyard grill? Because it's Grounded. Yeah. I started waiting for games to be feature complete. If you can control your FOMO, you will play the best version down the road. I waited 6 months, almost a year to play, 6 to 9 months to play Cyberpunk 2077, one of my favorite games of all time. And man, what an experience. What an experience. Yeah. So here we go. Well, he's talking about Cyberpunk right there. Yeah, I have not gone back to Cyberpunk until the expansion comes out. and then I will beat the game. I put 90 hours into vanilla Cyberpunk on PC. Yeah, no, Cyberpunk's so good. So good. And shout out to Crazy Great Dude who says, don't forget to hit that like button, especially you lookers. Take a break real quick and hit that thumbs up. Absolutely. Thank you so much to everybody who hits that thumbs up. We appreciate each and every one of you. Those likes do help us get discovered on the front page of YouTube, especially the live section for games. We would really appreciate you guys hitting that thumbs up. Yeah. Yeah. Tears of the Kingdom came out great and no issues. Yeah, I agree. To me, it's still the game of the year. Larian got the Stadia bag and then worked up on hand until it was ready. They published the game. Wow. So yeah. And shout out to RWK88. You are the real MVP. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's see. Anybody else have anything to say? I think the game is making an excuse because it's not ready to go against Starfield. I'm not sure what you're talking about there.
Yeah, they're not making any excuses for with Starfield.
It's definitely 6 to 9 months. RWK88, 6 to 9 months. Yeah. So yeah. And by the way, I found that tweet from that developer. And again, no hate against this developer. As I said, everybody just is putting up their opinions. And he is working on a game that I'm looking forward to playing, Stranger Things VR. But let's look into him. Here, he says, like a lot of people, I'm deeply excited what the lovely folks at Larian accomplished with Baldur's Gate 3. But I want to gently, preemptively push back against players taking that excitement and using it to apply criticism or a quote-unquote raised standard to RPGs going forward. You can't separate game from processes used to build it, so let's look at what Larian is taking to the development and final version of this game. 1, dev cycle stretching back to 2017, 5 years. 2, massive games and their definitive editions worth of tech and institutional knowledge to draw from. So yeah, take what you know and make it better. Yeah. Super successful early access period, lasting 3 years, providing crucial community feedback, bug hunting, and cash flow. Yeah, that's the way they went about funding their game. Places like, so they obviously probably didn't have like a huge QA or couldn't hire testers or lure enough gamers to test their game, so they just put it out there to the public. Some people do that, some people don't. Over 400 developers in 7 different offices around the world, not including outside partners. Yes, that's true. The licensed brand and world of one of the largest entertainment IPs in the world, Dungeons and Dragons, at the apex of its popularity with the rise of actual play movement and a movie. Debatable, I would say.
Yeah, that's debatable.
So this is a small incomplete list. Larian is coming into this game swinging with a gigantic weight of expectation to deal with, but they're also doing it with an immense amount of wind, direct experience plus resources plus specialty tooling, etc., at their backs, as most studios should have if that is the style of game you produce. Like, I see what he's saying because they've made Divinity Original Sin 2, and now Baldur's Gate 3. If you've played Original Sin and Original Sin 2, you'll see those are also Dungeons and Dragons style games, turn-based, and they're just refinessing on what they know, just like every studio does. And again, I'm going to use 343. Halo Infinite is way better than Halo 5 from a gameplay perspective, in my opinion, and also from a storytelling perspective. You should always build on what's there to get better, right? Also, as a too long didn't read, in an era of mega games, Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the largest attempted, built by a specialized group of people using mature tech built to make this specific game, reinforced by invaluable mass player feedback and market validation ahead of its launch. Okay. This is not a new baseline for RPGs. This is an anomaly. Trying to do the same thing in the same way, especially without the same advantages, could kill an entire group of studios. I agree with this statement here.
Yes, but I also don't agree at the same time.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't agree with everything he said, but I do agree with that if every studio did it the same way, they would be out of business. Yeah, well, you know what? They need to do it their way. That's what Larian did. They did it their way.
But that's the thing, though. there is no baseline for RPGs. Well, no, there is.
Mm-hmm.
How well did Diablo 4 do? Oh, that's right. It's their baseline.
Mm-hmm.
There is a baseline for RPGs. How well did Persona 5 do? There's a
Mm-hmm.
certain aesthetic to it that a lot of people don't like, but there's a baseline to that style of game.
Yeah.
There are style, how let's look at racers. There's a baseline to those racers.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that baseline, and it goes across all games, it's an RPG, is it not? Then it's
Mm-hmm.
RPG. It doesn't matter if it's a JRPG, CRPG, it's an RPG nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
There's a baseline there, and then you have your niches, the niche part of your baseline for that type of game. There is a baseline that is in all games. Is you got to make it fun. There's got to be something to draw you in, to keep you engaged. So again, there's a baseline there. If
Absolutely.
you don't know, and you're saying that there is, it only worked because they've done this one thing, that's BS. So, and I understand that if you don't use what your advantages are, it could kill the game. Even then, you look at some of the people that that one guy that left Halo and created his own game, and the game sucked. The game flopped
It
because
flopped.
he tried his own thing, and it was a far departure. You look at, we're just talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and that victim versus villains setup. But what was it before that, right?
Yeah.
Your 1v4. What happened? Oh, Fable. They had a 1v4. That got canceled. Oh, what was that? Enclave. I forgot the name of the game, but it was a monster versus hunters. You had 4 different hunters, and the monster just kept on growing as it was winning.
Mm-hmm.
And that flopped. And again, there's a formula there, but you got to figure out that formula. And look at what's going on with Texas Chainsaw, and the newer games that it's following from. They finally figured out the rhythm.
Yeah.
It's still the same formula that
Mm-hmm.
those other ones flopped on. It's just they figured out how to do it properly. They figured out how to make it fun and engaging.
Absolutely. And Larian Studios, to keep pushing on this point up here, that they did their specific game, and here we go. Doing it with an immense amount of wind, direct experience, resources, specialty tooling. Just to let you know, that is what every studio should do with their games, whatever their games is. I mean, look at Forza Horizon. It's only gotten better and better and better and better. They iterate on what they've made to make it better and better. Every studio should do so.
Are you
So let's
sure
keep
about
reading
that?
this. Here, Terry, chime in whenever you want, by the way. If they go as big or bigger with their next title, Larian themselves could die. That's the risk and reward of the mega game. We are an industry dangling elephants over cliffs, pointing at the ones that don't collapse under their own weight as indictments to be the ones that do. A bad game could definitely doom a studio forever, but it's a risk and reward, as he said, and quote unquote mega game. I don't think Baldur's Gate is a mega game. It's just a great content rich game.
They fought for
I
years
disagree
to get
with
the
that.
license.
Yeah.
But here's the other funny thing, right? We're just talking about how every game should they should
Mhm.
work on what their strengths are, right?
Mhm.
Let me tell you about Tango Gameworks. The Evil Within 2. Oh, those are horror games, right? Oh, Ghostwire Tokyo. Oh, another horror game.
Mhm.
What's the latest game they released? Hi-Fi
Hi-Fi
Rush. So again, it doesn't have to be what you're saying. You can do something out of your wheelhouse. You just have to implement your knowledge and your skills into these games.
Mhm.
There are a lot of people that have done so. You look at Joe Winters that did Song of Iron. He worked on Halo. Song of Iron has nothing to do with Halo, but guess what? He learned how to do certain things. He learned how to code. He did all this and that and pushed out a game. And now he's working on Song of Fire 2. So again, it's not his wheelhouse, but he learned how to do a one-man show with a little bit of help.
Yeah.
So Larian Studios is not a fluke. What they did was based on expertise of their knowledge and their skills, and didn't hold back. Yes, it took them a lot longer, but we've also said that these games now are taking 5 to 6 years to make. Cyberpunk 2077, that came out. That was originally intended for last gen. That was for Gen 8.
It was announced at the end of the 360 era.
Right. It was intended for Gen 8. We had to brute force it with Gen 9 consoles to make it playable. Why? Because they did not put enough optimization into the last gen. And what are they doing now? Now with the expansion, they completely cut it out. The expansion is only Gen 9. So again, they put too much into it and not enough optimization. They built it too big that they couldn't put it on the older console. Yeah. So again, it's just one of those things you don't know until you get there. And unfortunately, you can't not everything is the same across the board, that you're going to always do this or you're going to always do that and this is always going to happen. I mean, there are so many games that they were slated for success and fell apart because of certain things. I mean, we just talked about what was it? The Gotham
Imposters.
Yes, in Gotham City Imposters. Game was great. It changed the way that gameplays, game style was, but it failed because community's not there.
Right. And
it did better on PC.
The main takeaway of this is this statement here, the 10. But if you shout that every RPG should be like this going forward, you have no excuse. You've not just missed the point. You've created the expectations and conditions to ensure your favorite creators may never be able to give you the things you love ever again. All I want is complete games, content rich like Zelda and Baldur's Gate 3. Like Gears 5, I consider to be one of the most complete launch games I've ever played. Single player, multiplayer, co-op, escape mode, and it had a fifth mode, map editing, horde mode. There we go. All those modes came out and they all worked fantastic.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
They worked, Terry.
No, they didn't.
Gears
worked. 5 was such a broken, buggy mess at launch. Like, the game was unplayable. Like, for me, like, I was doing it for co-op. Like, it was unplayable. The game wouldn't even progress. It kept freezing up. We would have to reload the entire freaking level over again. It was a piece of crap at launch for co-op. It was not. It was horrible.
I played it at co-op at launch too, and I didn't run into.
I freaking had nothing but problem after problem. I live streamed it, and like people were bewildered with how broken the game was for me because they had watched other people play it without these issues. And I tell you, if there was an issue in the game, I got every single one of them. And it was Gears 5 was my most hated game in the franchise because of how broken it was when I played it. I hated it.
I played it co-op too, and I didn't experience any.
It was the worst experience. Like, I did not expect to have that kind of experience because the Gears series, I knew what to expect because they have that base of how well their games, work and how few bugs are in those games. But Gears 5, no, that was the worst experience of my life for a Gears game. I hated it. And I'm still salty about that game.
Shout out to Graphic God for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. You are the real MVP. Gears is the best game ever, especially 5. Let's see. DE comes in. He says, Duke Nukem Forever. Yeah. That's a game that took forever and suffered because of it. It should have been canceled, in my opinion. Should have never come out. And I was a Duke Nukem 3D fan. So, yeah. A flawless game doesn't mean I will give the game a 10 out of 10. The story is so important for me. And if you might have a 10 out of 10 games. Heck, I love some games that got 6 out of 10. Yeah, same.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, too, is overhyping a game will also have that negative effect that he's worried about. Nobody's asking for the game to be overhyped. Nobody's asking for anything breaking fourth wall that the game's going to do to you. It's not going to be like that. We're just asking for complete games. We're asking for, like you said, content-rich games, stuff that's not behind a paywall when it was there from the get-go. I mean, there was another studio that did the same thing, that they were going to release. I can't remember who it was now, but they were going to release an expansion, which they already pretty much completed. And that kind of also gave them negative press, which pretty much put the studio in limbo, because the fact that most of this expansion stuff was already there.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing, is what is the message that you're trying to bring? So yeah, he brings up good points, but the problem is he's also not correct with some of with the way the outlook is.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what's happening here. Why?
But when it comes to so for Larian though, someone earlier had mentioned that they felt this game was overhyped, and I feel like the hype feels different because normally for Larian, their games are exclusive to PC for a few years before they eventually release on console.
Yes.
So you have the amount of hype is the same, but it feels different because now you have console people on that train at the same time as the PC. Whereas this amount of hype that Baldur's Gate has is what Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 had. It just most people didn't know about it because it was PC only, so you weren't part of that train. But Larian has always had this kind of quality with their games. It's just now consoles getting the game at the same time, and so you're part of it. So it feels different.
Mm-hmm.
But the hype level is about the same to me between their games. And the original Sin games, those were complete. And amazing when they came out, and then they came to console way later. So people are upset about the Xbox thing getting put off. Honestly, I'm surprised they are bringing it to any of the consoles right now because they always do PC first. So I think that at this point people are just getting nitpicky. So I think it's a blessing that they're releasing it on any console.
Yeah, but you also have the trolls that are like, "Oh, it's PlayStation exclusive."
Yeah, fanboys are gonna try to run their crap, but it's definitely a blessing that it's on a console release at this point in time, because it should be another 2-year wait based on what they do.
Yeah, and Larian already said this is not console exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
It's multi-plat. It's just when it comes out. And right now they're having issues with the split screen, which we know, because of the Series S. Okay, not a big deal. You also got to remember, this is also coming out at the same time as Starfield. So maybe that's not something that they're worried about just right now to concentrate on. Plus, Xbox is sending people over there to figure out their problem, to figure out how to help them optimize it. Yeah. So again, there's many factors going in here. And think about this. All this hype is only hyping them up even more. So.
Yeah, the issue has come to what we have said as gamers all the time. We don't want buggy, broken games. Delay the game. And people are upset that, okay, so Baldur's Gate had a 3-year early access period. They released it on their terms when they were ready. And not every studio has that luxury. I mean, look at Redfall. Redfall probably should have been delayed another 2 years. Halo might have been delayed 2 more years. But the reality is, studios at Xbox answer to Microsoft, who answers to investors. The problem is with these investors who only see spreadsheets, they will never understand the importance of completeness because they're not gamers. Like, I hate to say it, but these rich boomers don't understand video games.
They want their money now.
They want money, and they want it's their money, and they want their money now. J.G. Wentworth. So, if you really, really, really want to put out the best games out there, and this has been proven before in the past as well, the biggest innovators, the biggest trendsetters, the biggest what appears to be the people who put out content-rich games are the indie studios, are the smaller studios. You know, they innovate gameplay styles because they're willing to take risk, whereas studios who have to answer to investors don't have the luxury of risk. They need success, right? And you know, if I'm a 1 or 3 person, let's just pretend I'm a 3-person dev team. If our game doesn't work out, okay, only 3 people are affected, right? Myself and let's pretend it's Cool Cat, Terry, and Dreadful. Us 3 are affected. But if I don't know, Redfall didn't work out, you know, hundreds, thousands of people are affected, and it didn't work out, in my opinion. So it's just one of those situations where we want the AAA games to be just as good as the AA, borderline AAA games are. You know, like I keep going back to Tears of the Kingdom. The reason Tears of the Kingdom is the best game this year for me is because it's content rich, it's complete, and it's exactly everything that Nintendo promised it would be. Not overpromised, it didn't underdeliver. If anything, it over-delivered. Because the entire underground of Hyrule was never talked about at all. You discovered that on your own, and you're like, well, there's another Hyrule down here. That feeling of itself is so cool, right? Whereas nowadays with AAA games, you get overpromised and underdelivered, right? Like, oh, this is going to be the scariest game of all time, or this is going to be, you know, we're refining our ragdoll models, blah, blah, blah. We're redefining our physics. And next thing you know, you're flipping over upside down over a pebble, you know? Like, those are the kinds of things that you just don't want. Although some of these bugs are funny to me. At some point, like Terry's Gears 5 bugs, network connectivity issues are frustrating because those are game breaking. So that's all we're asking for is complete, tested, and addressed games. That's what we want, you know. And when someone finally delivers it, yeah, they deserve all the glory, and everybody else deserves all the criticism. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is, right? So Baldur's Gate 3 right now deserves all the glory, and everybody else is getting all the criticism. Hopefully, Starfield will launch amazingly and be able to be the best Bethesda RPG that they've ever put out, and be another example of a complete game. But we won't know until for about 10 more days, 2 weeks. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Terry, do you have anything else to add to this convo?
Okay, so for me, first of all, gamers are never satisfied. So I agree that as gamers, we want the games to be complete. We don't want bugs. I mean, bugs are going to happen, but as long as they're not game breaking, you know, we can get over it. But at the same time, the gamers, they can't handle like those. On one breath, they'll be like, don't release the game if it's broken. And then they delay the game, and then they're complaining, well, why didn't you release it? We want it now. Like, you can't make them happy, you know? Mm-hmm. They don't want it broken, but they don't want it delayed. But you can't always have it both ways, you know? So, like, right now, people are mad about the stupid split screen. Like, who cares? You know? It's either you're going to get it released broken, or you're going to have to wait. You know, yeah, they can cancel split screen, but there's still going to be those gamers that use split screen that are still going to be miffed. All right, so you can't please everyone. It's just tough. And then with the early access stuff, that's one of those things that is hit or miss for me. Like, I see the benefit of the early access stuff where you play through it while it's basically in like a beta form, and they continuously fix it before their official release. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, for me, I have never gone back and played a game fully released after an early access. Never. I've played it during early access. I get my feel for it, and I move on. I don't go back after it's officially out. I never have. I haven't done it for a single one, which hurts them because now my only perspective is on the broken version, the incomplete version. And that's what most of your game reviews are going to reflect too, is people are going to be releasing their game reviews on the early access version. They're not going to go back, 2 years later when it's officially released to give it a game review. They've already been there, done that, and they've moved on. So that hurts you too. I don't like early access. I really do not like early access.
The only time
it has its place to help them find problems. But like I said, most people are going to give it a negative review because of those problems, because as far as they're concerned, that's the finished product. And a lot of people aren't going to go back when it's done.
Yeah, and I just typed this out, but the only time I use early access is to buy games at a discount. And then I wait for them to fully release. Like, I don't even play the early access. I just get it for the discount. And then I'll get the game. I should have early access Baldur's Gate, but I didn't think it was going to be that great because Dark Alliance 3 was kind of a letdown, and I was afraid of this. I should have known. I should have never doubted you, Larian. Fastback says Tears of the Kingdom doesn't have multiplayer co-op, split screen, 4K 60. It's a big simple game, but Nintendo never promised any of that. That's my point. Nintendo never once said that Zelda will be multiplayer, have 4K or 60. They just promised that Tears of the Kingdom would be the best Zelda game ever, and it was. And they promised the Sky Zones, they were there. The dives, they were there. The building was there, and it's even more amazing than it was in the trailers.
And Nintendo does a really good job when it comes to their single player experience. They do a really good job of having them complete without bugs. Mm-hmm. We've seen now that they've been with the Switch and stuff, they've been getting more online games, that they are suffering with their online games. Mm-hmm. They don't have their servers. Their servers are still a mess. Their chats are a mess. They have issues when it comes to multiplayer. Nintendo, they're way behind on the game because for the longest time they've just been a single player experience or like a party game experience where you played, like a LAN party. You know what I mean? So now that they're finally getting into, the multiplayer, they're releasing broken games. Nintendo isn't known for the broken games, but their multiplayer games are broken. That's
yeah. Yeah, but Nintendo's also one of those companies that can just continuously fund a game for a long time until they get it right.
And
then
they'll
release it again.
Too, yeah.
So like Splatoon 2 released in a better state than Splatoon 1 did.
Yeah, because
and so forth and so on.
Like the Smash Bros. Like they have bad server problems.
Man, but I played Smash Bros on their server one time. Never again.
But they'll get a free pass, because it's Nintendo. They'll get a free pass. That game will still be popular despite the fact that it's a broken mess, But if you try to pull that kind of stuff with, I don't know, Mortal Kombat, I feel like they would get, never one will get crucified. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nintendo will get that pass.
Yeah, never again. Let's see. Let's continue here. Happy Cloud Gamer says that somebody posted that they're 15 hours into Starfield and no bugs in it, which is great. RWK88, I've never played a Baldur's Gate game. I know what you said, but I'm not putting it on there. RWK88 as well says, I pre-ordered Modern Warfare 3 because I wanted the Steelbook. Am I an idiot? Be honest. Not really. Now that games don't come with manuals, I kind of like the Steelbook because to me that's still art. That's the etching on the Steelbook, the coloring on the Steelbook is really art. I'm sorry, so I like it. Yeah. And shout out to Mike Wallace on the original Next Level Gaming. He says, I'm sorry guys, I was going to watch the show, but your title screen is just too bland for me. Shout out to Mike Wallace. You are the real MVP. So yeah. I don't think I have anything else to say on this other than give me complete games. But you know what, Terry, how does the chat feel? We had a poll.
We had a poll about the completeness. All right. And we have another split. So, should devs be scared of Baldur's Gate 3 launching complete? 45% said yes, give me all the game. And 45% also said depends on the game. And then there were 9% that said no, just give me the game. I want it now.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. If anybody else has anything left to say on Baldur's Gate 3 or any of the other topics we had today, speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get out of here. And shout out to Papa Woody for jumping in at the last minute. You are the real MVP. We appreciate you. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate each and every one of you joining us. We wouldn't be able to do this show without you guys. The chat, that's right, you guys, the chat will always be the MVP to any of the shows here on the Iconic Video Games channel. And with that being said, we're going to get out of here. I'm Maxwell1324.
I'm Cool Cat Terry.
And I'm Dreadpool from Dread and Friends.
And we'll go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.